to start with Mel time. We're just waiting a little bit. So just everybody talk. We're here for art, Mel, and community for one another. So just talk amongst yourselves for a little bit, and then we'll get started with the program. I'll fill you in on all the details, but we're we're waiting for Mel. Okay. All right, excuse me. Not excuse me. Attention, please.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Aubrey, and this is Liz Aubrey. And we are here today to honor Mel Leipzig. And let me do one thing first. This is something I want to do. I believe I want to light a flame to have him with us. And he is with us. And I think I might get choked up here today, so excuse me. Liz and I, just so you know why we're doing this, Liz and I were good friends with Mel. We've known him for about 50 years. Liz was a student. He and I were colleagues. He was my best man. We did everything. We did a lot together. He was so much part of our lives. It was natural to be with Mel. He and I had so much interest besides art. We loved community. We loved people. We liked doing things. We would go to theaters. We would share books. We would come and watch operas with him and his wife. We had a great time. We loved it. I'm sad. But he's not gone. That's right. He's with us because of the things he loved and we loved. Today what we're going to do is we're going to break this up into a couple sections. One is Mel we asked Mel, would he talk? And he said, yes, I want to talk. And even up to 2 weeks ago, I said, Mel, are you feeling up for a talk? And he goes, yes, I want to do it. I want to do it. So we set this up before, and we just kept going. And when he died, we said, we're going to continue it. We'll do it. We'll just... While we're here, I mean, we live in Bordentown, and we are part, and by the way, welcome to Fulton City Hall if you've not been here before. I'm part of the Restoration Committee with Val Sassman, the chair, who has been gracious enough to open this up to community events and arts events. So we are part of this, we're doing it here, but part of me wants to be in Trenton too, because that's where we did, Mel and I and Liz, we did so much work in Trenton. We loved Trenton, we loved the area, we love art, and we loved all of you people who come. So what I'm going to do today is just give a little talk, and I'm going to ask some questions, but this is not finished, this is a work in progress, and so just bear with me, but I'll be asking some questions. But before I do, I've been shooting my mouth off. Liz, do you have anything you want to say about what you're doing, why we're here?
Well, this all started with, there's 5 shows for Mel at 90. There's one show right now at ELLARSLIE, another one at City Hall in Trenton, and that focuses on the political people that he did portraits of. Another one is at Lobby Club in Trenton, and that's architects. And then there's 5 altogether.
At Mercer County.
One at Mercer County College, that's going to be in January. And the one that I've been curated is at the City Library. And I wanted to do the show since Mel started doing this series. I felt it was one of his strongest series, and I really wanted it to be shown and to have a voice because Mel just loved that series.
What series was it?
It was the series Street Artists and Tattoo Artists.
Right.
And it really kind of helps him to develop a new style, a new direction in his style. And you'll see that in his slideshow, how he learned from the artists that he portrayed in all of these murals that he did, and the tattoo artists too. His son is an artist. He has a tattoo business. So there's different art forms that he's picked up from, and he's utilized in all of his art that he's done. And he's done portraits of everybody in this room practically. He's learned from every single person he loves. He's just loved including everybody in his artwork and bringing his experience to everybody. And so that's why I just wanted to let you know that that's the series that I'm working on at the City Library. It's going to be opening in middle of December, December 13th. But that's okay, we'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
All right, so I'll let you start, Dan.
Well, before I do, I want to introduce Tom, who he's a filmmaker, documentary. He's been documenting all these events with Mel, and he's here today. And I'm going to ask you to talk about this. So please, he'll be coming in. He'll be coming up with the microphone. So feel just so you know, and watch out for this tripod here because it's Tom's camera. Okay. The first thing I have to do is figure out how to get the slide moving, which I did earlier. Well, yeah. Okay.
Press the space.
I just want to also point out Francesca Leipzig, Mel's daughter, here. Thanks for coming. We just talking and making the introductions. We had this going before. I did something that was for a while. You can close that. Maybe that's Well, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. There you go. Graffiti and tattoo, December 11th to March 21st, Trenton Free Public Library. February 21st will be a public program to yet to be announced. Okay, next please. Maybe you can just push it. There it is. What we're doing is this. I thought it might be fun to go over some of the street art that Mel did and what he was doing and how he came into all this with the street art. So we're going to go through some traditional things, but here's what Liz, would you show the next slide, please? Here's Mel early. This is from the 70s. No, 60s. 70s. Okay. That's Joshua. Mary Jo, Mel's wife, nursing Joshua. What do you notice about this painting? What's some of the reactions?
The edges are softer than it's later.
Okay. What else? Monochrome? Yeah. What else?
There's no outline.
No outline? But what about how about the imagery itself?
Very traditional.
It's what?
Very traditional.
Very traditional. Reminds you of what?
Madonna.
Yeah, Liz? You would think, I'm sorry if I'm in the way. Is this better? Mel obviously taught art history. So he would say, he told me that, first he said he didn't like art history as a young guy. But then when he started doing it, he got very interested in it. And it gave him a whole range of information to use. Next piece. Okay. Who is this? What do you think of this? What are your thoughts? Different. This is Francesca in her room. It's Francesca back there. But notice though, again, the figure. This could be taken out of a Renaissance painting. The way it's designed, the shape, the construction. Again, while I was putting this together, because I had hoped, the original plan was Mel would be here. So I'm racing to get some information, but let me show you a little thing, and if some of you may already know this stuff, I'm going to apologize, but it's for just talking and rehearsing and finding the path through this. Liz, what you doing? That's work in progress. Just, there it is. This is paintings in Boston. It's called Watson and the Shark. Mel and I love this painting, and we would talk about this a lot. Notice the construction of it, the triangle. It's the same pretty much what Mel had used with Francesca in the back, right? So, but here's the go to the next slide. This painting was based on Renaissance designs. Just like Mel would talk about that. Oh, I saw a great thing, and then there's the next one. In this painting, it would be gridded out. The drawings would be gridded in the classical, traditional way, and then put on the canvas. Go to the next one, and we'll bring it up to date. This picture is a painting of the Trenton train station. The guy on the left is me. The woman, the young lady, is my wife, Liz. And there's Liz here. And there's me again. What he did was, we were at the train station for hours, sitting in the train station. Am I kidding?
No.
Hours and hours. And we also came back to his house and sat. But go to the next one. Look, he drew us out. Not only did he draw the other piece, he drew us individually. Could you go back again to this? He even did this. He would draw me a couple times. And he cut it out and put the heads in. And here is this another figure. He would move around a little bit. The end result is, we'll go up to a couple pieces. This. Wow. So it was a very traditional way of doing things. Really laborious. Which changes eventually, because a lot of people will find out that they didn't have to do this.
So the first one was a study for this?
Yes.
How big was the finished painting?
It's about this size.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's in the museum exhibit. And I used this one because it was convenient. I had a copy, I had this stuff. And I didn't have a drawing of the grid, but I remember him gridding it out. It was
He used the grid?
Yeah, oh yeah. He would pick up the camera and he would transpose the drawing onto this. Very traditional. Okay, next. Okay, if you knew Mel about painting, he had two heroes, at least two heroes. And one of them is Manet, and the other one is Akins. Okay, next. What he got from Manet was a directness, composition, modernity, and urbanity, or that's kind of the wrong word, but an urban feel. Mel woke up, he came alive in Trenton. He was in New York and everything, but he adopted Trenton as his canvas, just like Manet would do Paris. Let's look at a picture by Manet. What do you notice about this picture of Manet, besides its color and its person?
Like the reflections?
Reflections, it's got the things in the back, but there's
Perspective.
The perspective, the details.
details, the details, the abundance of detail. The abundance, and look at her, what is she doing?
Directly looking.
Directly looking. Let's see what Mel did. Next. Lou Draper, in his office. Mel liked Lou, I think, because Lou was the only person who was sloppier than Mel. And it made Mel feel good that he was like clean, you know? But look at the detail and look at the way he's directing right out at us. Next,
Tom Malone.
Tom Malloy. Tom Malloy is his studio. Same abundance of detail. Next. This is the critic. No, it's not Michael Graves. Jerry Haggerty. In his bathrobe and sloppy apartment. But same thing, you know, but these are artists, and look at all the details. Go to the next one, please. Cafeteria worker at Mercer County College. Just like the barmaid in the Folie du Jour. Here is just a common person working, and Mel celebrating that. He was big on doing that, finding people in Trenton to celebrate. I wish I had a picture of the gas station attendant. He did a beautiful painting of a gas station with the person running the gas station within, not dominating, just part of the landscape. It was a beautiful painting of this. So,
Did he work from photographs at all?
not at all.
That's
The
amazing.
only thing he would do from photographs, he would copy a photograph if someone gave him one. If somebody gave me a picture of their family member, he would paint from the photograph. But he believed in direct interaction with the environment. I'm trying to make, I could go on for hours with this. But in one of the paintings he did, he loved to create challenges with the imagery. He did this one of US 1 newspaper, and we were there at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not kidding you. He came in and we would spend the evening there. He would paint the stand, but he had this thing where he wanted to paint what was behind him in the scene. So he'd be painting like this. But you can never do that in a photograph. And he was trying to create something that gathered and created some compression, I suppose, and challenge himself. Okay, Thomas Egan's A Commitment to Technique. Again, common life, unsentimentality. Here we have the first one, with the blood. He loved his painting. He would talk about this. He loved, oh, look at the scalpel, somebody upset, the body. He loved that, and a dedication to vision. Because I said, and perhaps he was a kindred spirit. He was another American, studied in Paris like Mel did, and was challenged at home. Mel was challenged by the abstract expressionists. He was growing, he was trying to find his voice in a time when abstract expressionism, followed by pop art and minimalism, were all coming into fashion. And yet a lot of artists would just start changing their fashion. Mel stood his ground, and he loved doing the figure. I'll just say it now. He loved it, and I've heard him say this in discussions. They would go, Mel, you would fight this, your concept about abstraction, blah, 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 some highfalutin thing, and Mel would just go, no, I painted the people because I love people. I love people. I love everything about people. I love seeing their wrinkles. I love seeing their face. I love people. And that was really it. He did love people. And I always felt like, what a sneaky way of interacting with people by getting, I'm coming over to paint you. And stand there for hours, and you're stuck there. And he's like asking questions and go, so it was almost like a sophisticated form of parallel play. I'm playing, you stay there, and I like you. And he would say, I never paint anyone unless I like them. And there were people he did turn down, and he did take commissions, and he told me he hated doing it because the people would go, oh, can't you make me look nicer? And that was that unsentimentality. This is what you get. You get this. And he would say, Dan, I did a picture of you. It looks just like you. Don't, that's the way you look. I thought it was fine. But he was like, I think I made you enough. All right, next. Here's an interesting thing about his commitment, interest in Eakins, is he painted, this is his neighbor, Eric Schultz, who is a cellist. This one's special to Mel because that's the same cello that Eakins did. So when this came up, Eric was able to get it. Mel was like, oh my God, I had the same cello. And he was really proud of that though. And I don't blame him. Eakins is great. And he'd say he was the best American artist. Okay, next. Now, jump to 2012. Trenton City Museum, New Jersey, Prince Street Gallery. Anybody remember any of this? Yeah, Byron does. Leon, you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. This was a Tawa show, and we're going to just throw in ourselves as being part of this, what we were doing at the time. Back in 2012, Trenton was falling apart more than usual. Tony Mack had just done who knows what. The city was falling apart. The art community was splintered, and Liz and I got to get together with Mel, a few others, and proposed, hey, ELLARSLIE was closed basically, nothing was going on, and we said, we're going to do an exhibit about Trenton, and we're going to take it to New York. We're going to have an exhibit in Trenton and New York City simultaneously. It's a nutty idea, isn't it? But we did. But one of the things we started doing was we wanted to bring the community together as much as possible. We started going out, but Mel had just finished a painting of John Marr. Yeah. John Marr was a New York photographer who moved to Trenton, and he had written this, he done photography for this book, The Birth of Graffiti, which was
The first one. The first one was The Faith of Graffiti.
The Faith, okay. And he did that.
In 72.
Okay, so he was a pioneer in photographing it, right?
Kind of. So what happened was he had.
Excuse me, this is Leon Rainbow.
So what happened with John, it was like an assignment, you know. So when graffiti hit in New York, he had got a project to go out and shoot the pictures of the people that were doing the graffiti. And this was like I said, in the early 70s, 72, 73. So for about 2-3 weeks, he went out and shot the graffiti, and then they got Norman Mailer to do the intro. And he always, the funny thing he used to always tell me was like, he was mad because Norman Mailer got more money than he did. But yeah, so, but then he didn't really photograph graffiti outside of that until really when he moved to Trenton, right?
Right. So,
And he re-released the book under The Birth of Graffiti.
well, in this painting, there's an interesting photograph up here. That is this.
Casa. Yeah.
Will Picasso, and one of his graffiti pieces. So, Mel had started doing this, and we started, Leon, remember, we invited everybody. We said, come on, we want to have a city celebration. We didn't say these words, but get in, come in, and we called it Trenton Makes. And the idea was to bring artists together. And so, there was a room, and I don't have a photo, that had John Marr's painting, this photo, and a graffiti piece by Picasso, and a piece, so it was all together, and we started, everybody started talking more, because after Tony Mack, it's like, nobody was, it was like, remember, it was bad at that time. It was bad. So, Mel started interacting and talking to people next. And here are the artists that are part of the exhibit that will be at the library. And Dean Innocenzi, he's here, I saw him. Is he awake? Yes, he is. There he is. Leon. Will's Kinsey is not here, but Mel did a street art with a piece by him. Lank, Jonathan Connors is here. This is including a piece by Josh Leipzig, Mel's son, and a portrait of Will Casa, who's no longer in this area. But let's look at this. Liz, would you go to the next one, please? Well, here's what Mel learned from the street artist. This is what he told me. Mel would say, you know, he'd go to me, Dan, these guys they're incredible. He said, I can't do what they do. And he admired their use of color, their boldness, the direct application. No, it's just not like you can go back and, risk, the challenges, and the camaraderie. He said, it was amazing, like, unlike the traditional art world where everybody's backstabbing each other, these guys work together, seem to work together. So Mel was enchanted by this, and go to the next one, please. He was headed out the terrace cycle. The idea wasn't it like at first it was like he wanted you to come to his studio or be inside. Mm-hmm.
So originally like when I saw Mel, because he used to teach me, but when I first saw him and we started talking, like it was like probably at least 5 years that every time I saw him, he's like, oh, I gotta paint you, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then eventually we were like, okay, and then I had him eventually, like I was like, I don't paint in the studio that much, you probably should come out. And then these pieces that he did of me and Caso, we specifically painted these pieces to use as a backdrop for his canvases. Sure. Like we painted them for that, and then we painted over it.
Yeah, he admired that temporality, that the artist, the street artists were so committed to the art and not the selling of the art or the replica or carrying it around and things, that he was just amazed by the fact that you had this ability and discipline and talent, but we're accepting that it was temporal. So this is, what do you know? Go back to the other. What do you notice, folks?
Yellow sky.
Hmm?
Yellow sky, surreal.
Yeah, the yellow
stuff.
sky. This is the thing he would say. I mean, I would see him and go, damn, what do you think? Could do blue, but yellow is cooler. Yeah. That's the same thing. Yeah. So he started taking chances. He started like going, well, hey, these guys do it. What the hell? And now I got to mention this also in process. Mel was in his 70s or maybe 80s when doing this. At one point he started working directly, and he was in this, I think he was 78, and he goes, I think I started to get an idea, I might know what I'm thinking of doing. He was I'm not sure, but I think I'm onto something. That he knew how to paint. Next. There's Jonathan. Mm-hmm. Again, look at all the details, but the vibrancy of the colors now. Next. Dean, you want to mention anything about this? You don't have to.
It's basically, these are 3 different portraits of Andy Warhol. One of them is a self-portrait, the other's a photo, and then the other was Basquiat, done by Basquiat. So yeah, Mel thought it was a clever idea, so he wanted to paint this one. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Next. There's a Dean.
Yeah, this is the first one he did of me. That's also a TerraCycle. That's Marilyn Monroe. Yeah.
And it almost it comes off looking like a photograph.
Yeah.
When you see it in person.
And the detail on the ground and everything is crazy.
Mel loved the details. He'd go home, he would tell me, there's these great cracks in the side there. He'd like paint, there's all these great cracks and things like that. Next. This is another, I remember him coming back. You should see it, they have their pets. Oh my God, it's great. And so it's Dean and Jonathan. And that's, what's, Sid? Yeah. So again, it was like, Mel didn't do a lot of animals, but here is like an opportunity to capture other people's artwork while doing it too. And that was the other thing, while he was working a lot, he would ingest other people's art. And just as he would do in the, from the art history, and there are paintings, and I wished I had them. One is there's a little thing on about a bureau and a television on a bureau. And it looks like, okay, it's a very interesting house. Each of the elements are from a different historical art era. That, you know, like Art Deco, some Roman thing, that are just, you know, just sit there. But if you look at it, he's like paraphrasing art history as it goes along. Next. Lank. This was at TerraCycle too. They were all at TerraCycle.
Y'all let now, so
TerraCycle, by the way, if you haven't, Leon puts together one of the most interesting, unique events in New Jersey at TerraCycle each year, called Jersey Fresh Jam. And how many people, you invite all these graffiti painters?
Probably like about 40 now. We lost some of the spaces. Probably about 40.
What's TerraCycle?
TerraCycle is a company in Trenton
Oh,
that
the
recycles.
Has it? The
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for what, 25 years?
I got an old
20
one.
years.
20 years.
Next year will be 21.
So these paintings on the walls are painted over?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Now, let's go to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a painting by Lank of Mel with the painting that Mel did of Lank. Next one. This is one by Dean. Go to the next one. And here's the painting Mel did of the painting that Dean did. Just like in the room where the paintings are, you know, we talked about that museum room where they were all reflecting on each other. Mel was doing this in the street out there. And I would go visit him. He's out there 70 or 80 years old out there by himself. You know, Mel, what are you doing? Oh, I'm painting. Next.
Leon, is that love one?
No. No.
This is in Plattsburgh, New York, the tattoo studio that Mel's son Josh works in. Next. Here's another one. But here's the interesting things about this. Again, it's like an unusual art form. Mel accepted it that these. I remember at the church. Shh, please. At US 1, we had I used to be the editor at US 1. There was a big to-do in Ewing about a tattoo parlor opening. And so people were like, oh my God, tattoos. They're going to bring in bikers and prostitutes, and that would be great for Ewing, actually. So I recommended someone the reporter talked to Mel, and he was eloquent. No, this is an art form, and this is really a serious business, and he would say, the discipline required for a good tattoo artist is that you cannot make a mistake. He said, I can make a mistake. I can color it over, but you make a mistake on somebody's arm, no problem. But here's the interesting thing that I was thinking about. Next one, please. The rawness of it. Like Eakins, this is the Agnew Clinic. I can't get it out of my head, but they kind of look alike in this picture. You know? So, but at the same time, it's a very clinical place. And these things are the things that Mel would gravitate. Next, please. Now, at the same time he was doing things, he started mixing up, and This was a couple that he met in Cape Cod. He was painting them, and he would go to me, I wanted to do something about their building and their yard, but I didn't know what to do. How about, when I'm thinking of this, he would just put the elements of the wall, like the door and the mirror, and get rid of the wall. And he wouldn't have been doing this if he hadn't been interacting with people before and taking risk. But at the same time, Monet comes to next, please. Monet would do these crazy, yes, baby. I mean, what kind of reality is that? But so he'd look at Monet's books, right, Francesca? He'd read them like they were like menus, like just over and over. But he would take risk like that and be willing to eliminate walls and start changing the colors. Much different than early on. Next, please. This was a painting he did at the State Arts Council, and something's wrong with this. I brought this in because he painted the sky yellow, and he was doing these portraits. Yellow and orange skies were starting to pop up in a lot of his later paintings. And he also became simpler and more direct. Just like the street arts, he was trying to see how fast he could paint, how much he could capture in one time. Go ahead. This is actually our son. I brought this in because Mel said this was a game changer for him. He liked it the way it was shorter, smaller, and more direct. And the next one, abstract background, just a figure, just as Eakins had done and Degas had done. Next, please. So here's his influences. By the time early on, Degas, Eakins, but Dean, Lank, Picasso, and Leon. He would say they're his influences. Wow. And this was, you know, I'm pleased to have witnessed this. Next. That where you can see it from his early paintings to his more brilliant paintings and to his more fast, daring, cartoonish even, fun. And this is, he's making fun of himself. And who is this?
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Okay. And Liz? That's it. That's it. He was my friend. And really, I'm going to miss him. But I have to really continue to say, you guys were his inspiration. He taught each one of you, and then you taught him. And that's what we were all trying to do, and that's what Mel was about. The point is, he died, but he's not gone. He's here. And we got to keep this going. And how do we do it? You know how you do it? You just say yes to what people are and help them. That's really it. Now, I've been talking. Does anybody have anything they really want to say?
I have a question.
Okay.
I was talking to somebody recently, and I know he painted all the time, but there's supposedly in a storage unit hundreds of his works.
Yeah, I have a picture of him.
And I wonder if there's any plan to have a permanent display somewhere.
There's, Francesca, we don't even know. It's over 600.
Yeah.
It's like,
Really?
I mean, I know it's early, but
yeah, no, and it's a big discussion. Francesca's dealing with a lot of things at this moment, and we've talked, and we've had a little sharing of information. But just stay tuned to see what happens with it. That's a, you can't, there's no definitive answer at this point. So, but is there any? Yes.
How many pieces does the New Jersey State Museum have of his?
Not enough.
question?
What was the question?
How many pieces does the New Jersey State Museum have? Not sure. I would say about 10?
Yeah, hopefully soon they'll have more.
Yeah.
What about that new Princeton art museum?
They own a piece by him. They purchased the one piece in Trenton. Yeah, that was done. That was just purchased last year. Yes.
If there's ever a permanent exhibit, his jumpsuit has to be right in the front.
What is it?
His jumpsuit,
And his doctor, his lab coat, and his jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Safe.
Does anybody have anything they want to say about it?
I'll go.
Yes.
I am terrified to do this, but I wrote something to him. Can I read it?
Yes.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Somebody else.
Is it more than 10 minutes? Or?
No.
Anybody else?
I'll go, Dan. I'll stand up though, because it seems easier to go, so everybody can see.
We're here. I'll try to be brief. I was, as a senior in high school, Bristol Myers Squibb used to sponsor a program for one student from each of the county high schools in Mercer County. And we spent 2 or 3 weeks in the summer with Mel Leipzig and Ann Bobo, learning painting and drawing. For Mel was my first real introduction to what drawing and painting really are, and what being an artist is. And then from there I went on to attend Mercer, and I had him for art history, which was incredible. And then I went on, I finished my degree elsewhere. 10 years later I came back, and Mel, I was out of work, and Mel was nice enough to help me get a job adjuncting at Mercer County Community College, and we became colleagues. And then 10 years after that, maybe even, is when these paintings are from. So he's really been a huge influence on my life, not just, through art and painting, but also as, I became a professor, and being a teacher, probably, I think, more than anything else, he was encouraging of every single person that was in the classroom, and everybody was on a level playing field, whether you were truly talented or whether you were truly not talented. Mel would encourage you to continue to paint and do your paintings and find something constructive and good to say about everything that everybody put out in front of him. So I have tried to carry that on in my teaching and in my life. And as I became a parent, I then learned many great lessons about being a good dad and a caring person from Mel. And I am truly honored that he considered me, a contemporary. You saw my one painting, the tribute to Mel. I just, we had these cutouts that had the shape of Trenton in it, and that really, Mel is the sort of, patron saint and the kind of heartbeat of the Trenton arts, everything. He had, an impact on really every kind of person who comes through there, whether they know it or not. So I think that is that.
Thank you.
Similar, actually, except that I didn't have the, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. In the true jocular arrogance of 18, I trembled with laughter when first seeing Mel Leipzig teach. It was a lecture hall of 200 plus in the Communications Building at Mercer County College, 1985. I sat in the back. Okay, apparently I don't know how phones work. I sat in the back, which, I can't find the screen. Can somebody find
So that's
it? The screen popped up and I noticed, see this, the keyboard popped up. Yeah. The professor's hair was wild, partially bald, partially straight, partially wavy, slicked on the sides, tapered in the back, with straight pieces flying around. Mel paced back and forth as he spoke, sometimes using his whole hand to push rogue strands back from his eyes. His silhouette and mannerisms reminded me of Jim Minkowski, Christopher Lloyd from the 1970 show Taxi. My hyperactive and immature brain couldn't take it. Mel spoke passionately and with so much detail, hardly looking at his notes. I remember once seeing jottings scribbled down on a long yellow blue-lined pad on the podium, which he likely never viewed once they were penned. I can still hear the click and hum of the projector. I can see dust flitting in the whitish blue light as painting after glorious painting shone on the big screen. At first, much of what Professor Leipzig said didn't make sense to me. Words danced, artists revealed themselves as humans, history awoke. And over time, this professor's passion and brilliance created layers upon layers of understanding, bringing his lectures into focus. It didn't take long to realize that Mel Leipzig was so much more than a character. I moved my seat to the front, joined a study group, and got to work. A lifetime later, I celebrate Mel at 90. Sounds much longer. I remember being frustrated that I couldn't go to art school. My academics were likely more poor than my wallet. You thought I was going to say bank account, but I don't have one of those. I didn't have one of those. Years earlier, from the backyard of my grandparents' house on Hughes Drive, I used to sneak onto that land that later became Mercer County College. I just lost the whole thing again. At the fields, there were much more interesting setting for childhood play than mowed grass. On that land was a pond where my brother and I went fishing with makeshift poles. I was similarly frustrated when learning that our stomping ground would be plowed over to create a college. Hindsight taught me to hold on to my judgment. The best art education was right here in my hometown. My financial aid job was at the Mercer County Ceramics Room. Mel used to come in and talk with Jim Calavita and Mike Welliver. Upon noticing me, he would say, "Rebecca, stop playing with dishes and come paint." Mel and my mother are the only ones who called me Rebecca then. I was Becky to most. Occasionally Rebecca Lynn, especially if I was in trouble or being teased. Mel and my mother both said Rebecca in the most loving and respectful way. Today I only use that name. That love must be why so many of us follow Mel around from gallery to demonstration to gallery, year after year for decades. Early in college, I was overwhelmed. There's like 2 more paragraphs, I hope that's okay. Early in college, I was overwhelmed by a D on an assignment in Larry White's color design class. I always had success in art. What? I'm not a good artist? Mel taught me by word and example that everyone has worth, and don't worry about your teachers, just paint. Mel visited Larry's camp class one day and saw me painting with 5 tubes of acrylic. I named them, but I'm not going to hear. He said, "Rebecca, where are your colors?" Mel knew colors I never heard of. Burnt sienna, raw umber, crimson, Prussian blue. I told him I couldn't afford more paint, and that it didn't matter because I could make any color I needed. I'm fine. He and Larry whispered about it for the longest time, and I couldn't hear everything, but I remember Mel mentioning how the colors would always agree. I was less embarrassed after that statement, and shortly after that conversation, Mel gifted me with brushes and other supplies that he found left by other students. Next, I traveled with him to demonstrations, posing as a model, a paying gig. Please note, you probably know this, we should start a club of people that survive driving with Mel. It's an experience that defies words. During these drives, I learned about Mel's family. He introduced me to artists and connected me with multiple jobs. My peers and I posed in his home. His generosity helped me to remain in college. My ability grew as I watched him paint from the model's view. I learned that art is a community. Mel presented more than a classroom education. Between the fall of 1985 and the end of summer of 1987, I immersed myself in his instruction, which included 3 semesters of art history and 5 semesters of drawing, light drawing, and painting. I learned to stretch a canvas, evaluate art tools, work harder, take shorter breaks, observe, paint what I saw, look more than I painted, compare, notice negative space, listen to color, trust myself, learn from others, but decide for myself, notice the variations of light, imitate space using light and shadow, consider texture, appreciate subtle changes in tone and intensity, and celebrate art. He invited his artists and friends to lecture, as well as spend time with his students. He arranged Mercer County trips to multiple galleries in New York and New Jersey, as well as the National Gallery in Washington. Prior to these experiences, I was terrified of libraries and museums. I'm too clumsy, too noisy, and not welcome. Because of Mel, I feel at home in galleries, becoming a member of some, choosing them for leisure time, professional development, and inspiration. It was during these museum adventures that I identified a favorite place, the Frick Museum. It was 1986 when I stood before Rembrandt, having the realization that Rembrandt stood where I stood, arm's length from that canvas. Chill bumps. Just as that happened, Mel saw me in the gallery. He said, "Rebecca, look at this," and showed me where an arm was painted over and repainted in a different position to fix the composition. As Mel spoke, his excitement intensified and he moved closer to the work, forward and back, pointing to trace the shape in the air. The museum guard warned us multiple times that, "Friend, if you get that close again, you will be banned from the museum." Oops. And then this is the ending. Mel encouraged his students to exhibit their work, frequently stating, "Art is meant to be seen. I never met a starving artist, and just paint." Every time my work was shown, I felt sick. I spent more time outside than near the art. A pivotal moment was when Mel called me at the Mercer County Ceramics Room Extension to tell me I was awarded Mercer's 1987 Purchase Prize in Painting. This announcement was followed by a check and the excitement of learning that Mel had the painting framed in the same manner he framed his own work. Mel made me feel special. I am likely one of thousands of people he made feel special, and knowing that does not minimize the impact. I used to wonder what it would be like to be Francesca Leipzig. I never knew a dad like Mel. He sparkled when he spoke of his 2 children and the wife he adored. I wondered how his family felt about the time he spent with his students and the time he spent painting. I wondered, which caused me to learn some things about being in a relationship. His impact was greater than art, as if anything could be greater than art. And then later, Mel met and eventually painted my family. I invited him to my classroom where he met and painted my students. A couple of years ago, I asked him if he still worked with students because I had a student who could use the work. He said, "Sure, and you'll come too. I'll take you to dinner." This evolved into 2 recent graduates and I sitting in his home and being painted together. I learned an interesting route to Marsilio's kitchen and about Mel's passion for dessert. That night, he chose several sweets, some for now, some for later. These were treasured times to feel special, listen, and learn. I've lost count of how many times I've been painted by Mel. There's no tally for the inspiration, knowledge, and love he exuded. There's no tally for the number of humans, the generations who were influenced by Mel Leipzig. Stop listening, I gotta go paint.
I just want to remind everybody that all these paintings that you see on the slides here will be at the city library in their gallery. There's parking, and the exhibition will be up December 11th through March 21st, and February 11th we are going to have an open discussion. I'm hoping that I can have the artists come to talk about the work that's up on the walls, and but I'll be in touch with you guys later. And so come see the show. It's going to be a beautiful show.
Any other comments? Yeah, good. Any other comments? Yes,
Good question. How many of us all had Mel as a teacher?
everybody, Richard?
And I just want to say, I think I was the first year, 1968,
Wow.
at the Kelsey building,
Yeah.
the 5th floor. You were only allowed on the 5th floor if you were an art student. And you had to take this crappy old elevator up there.
It's still
And the women, the dress code was you had to still wear dresses.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't allowed to wear slacks unless you were taking an art class. It was amazing.
How many else survived driving with Mel? Yeah. Sometime I tell you the story about when he crashed through a bank. I'm not kidding, not the overhang of it. The whole big deal. I was in it. Anybody else? Yes?
How do you get pictures of all your artists before they leave? So I'm just saying this so you don't get out and run out of here.
The artist or everybody? Or the,
I got there, I've been taking a lot of photos of
okay,
everybody.
but the artist can
Yes.
influence you. Let me just end this. You know, Mel and I talked a lot. We were friends, and we would just have casual conversations, and sometimes. But you know, he loved people, and he knew that some people were hurt, and that he would always encourage people to find their way. That's what instead of being, I mean, Mel was one of probably one of the most accomplished artists in the region, and never boo-hooed anyone. And a lesser artist could be critical and nasty. Mel was always about uplifting people. He loved people. I don't think Francesca, but he had his own personal hurts, and he and I talked about it. He didn't want people hurting. He wanted people to come alive. He was always accepting, like, damn, we should get this person in this exhibit. You know, they're having a hard time. This would help them. This is what I say, help one another. I always find ways to help the artist and help people stay alive. And this, I'll just shut up after this. Mel would say to me at some point, you know, what would happen if an artist lived forever? What would the younger artists do? We have to accept this and move on through life and make way for the new artist. And that's what he was always about, doing, pushing himself to do things. And even, look at this, he was pushing against other artists, his peers, to do something new and different. And he always encouraged people to follow through. That's all I have to say. Thank you for coming.
I'm gonna add a couple of things about Mel.
Byron.
Sorry,
I should have quick.
what's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm just gonna add a couple of things about Mel. I should have raised my hand earlier, but, you know, he was an extraordinary guy. His work was incredible, and also I had him at Mercer County Community College. I had him the year before he retired. That was the 2012-2013 school year. Amazing professor. I've learned so much from him about art and about different styles of art and different theories of art and how he explained it well in detail. But what we've all been saying is he cared a lot. He liked people. He cared about his community. He cared about everyone he met throughout his day-to-day life, basically. So I think that's what we need to really remember about Mel. So thank you for letting us know.
If Francesca wouldn't mind, I'd like to know what it was like to be a child of an artist like Mel.
It's different than, it's different being his daughter, let's just say. It's great, he was obsessed sometimes, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was wonderful, but sometimes, he wouldn't let real life really get in the way of what he wanted to do, and sometimes it was hard living your real life as a child. But he was very, you know, I didn't grow up in a house where you couldn't touch the art, you couldn't, you know, he was fine with that, it was everywhere, so he was just, I think, the biggest thing with my dad was just like, he was a great artist, and he was just, his humanity was just, that's to me, is what I'll always take with him. He was just such a good person. He really did care about people. And I do want to say, like, he would tell everybody, like Dean, Lank, Leon, and Will, he would just love that. He was like in with you guys, and my brother's not here. My brother's a tattoo artist, and he would say, like, I tell him my son's a tattoo artist, and then I'm just in with the guys. But he just, you know, he loved all forms of art, and just the idea, and it kept him going, you know. He didn't watch television. In his later life, he canceled TV. You know, he was not a couch potato. Just painted and painted and painted. And in the end, he was really slowing down. And my brother and I knew it was close.
He always said, what would he do if he didn't paint? He said, what do I do? Sit around and watch television? You know.
Yeah, he hadn't had television.
I have to give a pitch for your mom, too.
My mother was a saint. My mother was a saint. I wouldn't put up with he used to have his studio was our dining room in our house. It was like literally in the middle of the house. I remember I told my boss that once, and she was like, your poor mother. It didn't really bother her too much. She understood him more than anybody, probably. But he was great. He was great.
Dan, I have a really quick story, which I think speaks to Mel just listening to everyone. He painted my husband and his two brothers. He was doing a family series. He finished the artwork and he brought it over to our house, and we hung it, and then we invited people to come and view it. So our youngest grandson, who was probably about 5 at the time, was there, and Mel asked him what he thought about the painting. So he looked at the painting and he said, no. He said, how come isn't red? And Mel looked and he said, you're right. I have too much red in there. And so he took the painting and he colored it so that it reflected more of the natural skin tone. And we laugh about that because it was like out of the mouth of babes. And now our grandson is almost 13 and he does art.
Leon,
yeah. Just real quick, you know, I'm grateful to have known Mel. You know, when I first moved to Trenton, I never did get to take him for painting, but he did let me sit in on a few of his classes. But I took him for art history, and I remember I was working like 3 jobs at the time, and I would go in there, it'd be like Friday at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and he would turn that projector on, and then next thing I hear him yelling, Rainbow, wake up! Rainbow, wake up! And I would fall asleep almost every class. But it was just because I was so tired. But, you know, it was funny. He would be like, oh, that little spot of red, that's what makes the painting. And I'm like, But, you know, he, you know, really meant a lot, you know, for somebody like Mel, especially nowadays. You know, I feel like if you don't understand how powerful street art and graffiti art is to the art world, then you're living under a rock. But, you know, 10, 15 years ago when I met Mel and him being an educator and part of the fine art world, you know, they never respected us. You know, none of the teachers, a lot of the teachers didn't respect it. Like if we would do stuff, they were always more critical of what we would do because it was outside of their realm per se. But Mel, you know, especially when he said like, oh, you know, I'm changing the way that I do things based on what you guys are doing, you know, that was really powerful to me. And, you know, it was like just hanging out with Mel when he was painting with us, you know, when he painted us and stuff, and, you know, just seeing the little details that he picked up, you know, was really amazing. You know, we were able to, you know, just talk with him, get his different insights about different things. And, you know, he really always encouraged me to pursue art, you know, and it's crazy though, because when you talk about painting all the time, that's kind of how I do too, you know, and it's like one of those things where, you know, if you paint repetitiously like that to a certain extent, you do different things, but it also, you know, gives you that zone where you're like kind of able to just like be out there with your painting. And, you know, I'm like too, it's like if I'm not painting, I don't know what to do type thing, you know, but, you know, I've learned a lot from Mel, and, you know, I'm grateful that he was in my life, and, you know, he was really instrumental in my journey as an artist.
Well, Mel came to Lawrence High School to do 2 paintings, and he ended up doing 8 or more, I believe. But one thing about him is he paid attention to the people, to the students. And one day he said, where's that kid that used to sit over there? I said, well, he's not here. He's having family issues, and so he's not here today. So when the young man finally came back, he said, I want to do a painting of you. And he painted that young man. And the kids stayed in school until the end of the year and graduated. Wow. Yeah, he was intuitive when it came to people. He could pick up on things.
I just want to say something to Francesca as well. Like those paintings of you and your brother have always been my favorite. And if that says everything about Mel to me, that your rooms were what you wanted to do with them, and he painted every single detail, which was amazing. I love it. It's great to see them today together.
Yeah, which one do you like better?
Well, you certainly like Madonna. It's great, yeah.
Also, that painting that he did of Will Casso and Leon, that was like the first time he did the yellow sky, and so I would always go over. You'd always say, myself and Dan too, that he always wanted to ask our opinions of. And he was like, what do you think of that yellow sky? And I loved it. I kept saying, I can't get over that yellow sky. It's just so great. And that was really the beginning of him with colors like that, you know, changing his viewpoint. He was starting before that, but that was the beginning.
In those later paintings, you could see where he changed the juxtaposition of the floor. And I mean, that was different. He hadn't done that.
Well, you know, he had really mastered a lot, and he was now just ready exploring. And he was excited about trying new things. What do you think of this? And I'm like, you know, and I would just ask questions because I'm not a visual artist. I would just ask him questions, and then he would illuminate what he was doing, and then be proud of that he was accomplishing. So I would basically tease. I'm not the guy to go, oh, that's great, that's great, that's terrible. I just go, wow. And we just have a conversation, and then he would be answering stuff, and he'd go, you know, this is not working. Let me fix this. You know, and it's like, and so it was, but it was exciting to be part of it, to see it.
He was so prolific. I just,
prolific.
I mean, did he have a space?
I'm actually going to put a few add-ons to what I actually said a few minutes ago. I just want to express
his interest and love for Ibsen. Like, he always talked about Ibsen, and he actually took me to see a production, my dad with me, to a production of A Doll's House at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And also, Kalila mentioned something, mentioned a good point. I put together this show called Persistence, which was like a show at the Trenton Public Library and eventually moved to the Plainsboro Library. But it was actually a show just showcasing artists who had were disabled, but also had age differences too. And I included Mel in that show. But also he included one of his students who actually was on the autism spectrum disorder. And we fought tooth and nail to get him in the show. Especially because we had to deal with school administrators and all that. That was pretty much done for Mel. I didn't get involved with that. But Mel did all the work with that. And the kid got in, and he had the time of his life at the
He
show.
came to the opening, remember how excited he was?
Yeah.
And it was because Mel was reaching out. He was so accomplished, but so much not a snob. It was human beings. That was it. He loved people. And I can't, that is something that just, he would say about artists sometimes, we're talking about, what does an artist do if they don't care about people? They're going to paint a circle?
Yeah.
I'd like to say something. I sat through Mel about a year ago. He was doing a series of portraits of local Trenton musicians. Is that correct, Leo? Yes. So I sat with him for 4 hours. During our conversation, when I was allowed to talk, he talked about his wife, your mom, and he had lost her, and I had recently lost my wife. And a couple hours into the sitting for him, he asked if I had a picture of her. And I said, yes, I did. And I gave it to him. And when I saw the finished product, it's me sitting there, we put a piano in there as well. And then in the background, a hanging picture, he included my wife. And I was an honor to sit for him, and I thought that was a very loving thing for him to do.
He loved art, he loved people. And what more can you say at this point? Who wants to buy me a beer?
Thanks, Dan.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone. You can mingle around and talk. The artist, can we get a photo of you?
Thank you.